Hi everybody, it's December 13, 2015. I'm not going to read this entire article, but I am going to read a bulk of it because it needs to be heard. This really needs to be heard. Joachim Hagopian, thank you for writing this. It's time to stop supporting our troops. 30 million people killed by U.S. since the end of World War II. Now, I want to preface this by saying, no, I'm not talking about our homeless veterans or our veterans who need help after coming back from these wars, having sustained either psychological or physical trauma. I'm not talking about that. But I am talking about the support of our troops that are going over to these countries, occupying them, slaughtering, pillaging, killing their civilians, innocent people. Because we all know that this is not about spreading democracy. We all know that this is not about fighting them there so we don't have to fight them here. We all know that this is about money and resources and conquering other nations as we so do best. We are an empire, but we are evil. Yes, I say that word, evil. We are all over the world committing such evil atrocities, and it's got to stop, and Americans have to wake up to the truth. This is not okay. It's been going on from the inception, from the start of our fabulous country, that the land that we thought, and so many still believe, was God-given. Jesus. Talk about truth. The truth is that we all need to start waking up to the fact that we have been evil from the start. There is nothing exceptional about the United States of America and Americans, except for their exceptional evil that they spread all over the world. With the 115-year-old tradition of the annual Army-Navy Football Classic on Saturday, the so-called America's Game and rival for the ages is now once again upon us. This occasion never fails to pay reverent homage to America's so-called cream of the crop, elitist military academies, and always from the president to celebrities, Americans give tribute to our armed forces. At this time, we hear that familiar patriotic mantra, support our troops, mindlessly repeated. So it seems appropriate now to take a cold, hard look to examine what it actually means to support our troops. As both a West Point graduate and critic of the American Empire, which is Joachim Hagopian, to me, the support our troops sentiment has long outworn its propagandized welcome. U.S. empire has been using that contrite expression to brainwash Americans and justify its wars and violence for far too long. It sprang up during this last decade's protracted war losses in Iraq and Afghanistan. Never was it ever heard during the Vietnam War, when our combat veterans returned home feeling defeated and suffering from untreated PTSD symptoms, shunned by a nation that had bitterly turned against them and their war, particularly by their own peer group. Fast forward to 4 decades and 3 war defeats later, and our government is still sending Americans off to fight and die in Afghanistan, 9,800 currently, and Iraq, 3,500 with another 100 on the way, and now in Syria, 50 just proposed with more on the way, while war hawk Bobbsey twins McCain and Graham are calling for 20,000 more troops in Syria. But this century's wars, we keep hearing red, white, and blue flag-waving Americans urging us to support our troops. Follow the order. Order followers need to stop following the order. They are more responsible for the crimes committed by this country than those who actually give them the orders. Those that are like McCain and Graham and Obama, because they pull the trigger. They drop the bombs. So, no. We don't support that kind of violence, do we? Well, clearly Americans have for a very, very long time, and it has to stop. It has to stop. Over the long haul, supporting our troops has resulted in the United States being the most warring, aggressive nation on earth, bar none. As we're about to enter 2016, our ultra-violent country will be killing other human beings somewhere on this planet for 223 out of the last 240 total years the U.S. has been in existence. That's 93% of our time as a nation turned empire. We've been destroying human life. That's certainly nothing to be proud of. Yet it's our troops who've been the murdering culprit. No compassionate, rational person could possibly place blindly obedient support behind such rampantly wanton disregard and contempt for fellow human life. Another fact that Americans can't be proud of is knowing that the most warring nation on earth just since World War II alone has murdered up to 30 million people around the globe, with an estimated 90% of them being civilians. Having initiated 201 out of the total of 240 armed conflicts from the end of World War II to 2001, it then follows that between those years, the U.S. empire of chaos and destruction has murdered 27 million innocent people whose lives have tragically been cut short through no fault of their own for simply living in the wrong place at the wrong time, belonging to the wrong ethnic nationality targeted by America's full spectrum dominance and global superpower hegemony. And that was before the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. And what does it take to be targeted as a U.S. foreign enemy? Any country whose leaders choose to support their own citizens' well-being, independence, and quality of life over U.S. empire's fascist, transnational corporate interest is attacked economically through sanctions and embargoes, politically through propaganda lies and threats, or militarily through unnatural disasters, whether warfare, occupied invasions involving long-term bloody conflicts, or acts of terrorism, coups, and assassinations. Just ask Cuba, Venezuela, Haiti, Panama, Iran, Syria, Iraq, Libya, Pakistan, Yemen, Somalia, Sudan, Congo, North Korea, Dubai, Palestine, or Russia, just to name more than a dozen. People around the world have been victimized for well over a century by American empire's willful rape and pillage of their lands in the name of stolen natural resources and inhumane forced slave labor, and those are the nations whose puppet dictators willingly succumbed and acquiesced to U.S. demands and pressures. In fact, in the tradition of the British Empire, North America's entire domestic and foreign history has been made of genocidal killing, enslaving, stealing, and subjugating other darker-skinned races into death and submission. Given this context, with the bigger picture perspective, supporting our troops is really supporting mass murder around the world. So bearing that sobering, grim reality in mind, it's time for Americans to cease and desist with their jingoistic rah-rah that only adds insult to injury to the rest of the victimized world. I'm going to stop there. You can read the rest of this wonderful article by clicking on the link below. But I'm tired. As an American, I'm really tired of the horse shit that a whole lot of Americans believe, that we're just wonderful and compassionate, that we're exceptional. We're a nation filled with adult children who are incredibly either narcissistic, self-centered, don't give a shit about any of these people in these countries that we are taking over. Colonizing, occupying, destabilizing, destroying, stealing, raping, brutalizing, traumatizing. Manifest destiny spreads throughout the world. And all of it based on lies. Vietnam, Gulf of Tonkin, a lie. First Gulf War, Iraqi soldiers ripping babies out of incubators, a lie. Iraq War, weapons of mass destruction, a lie. Syria, Assad using poisonous gases against his own citizens, a lie. A lie. And we know it. We all know the lies. That's what's so incredible. That's what's so incredible. We allow all of this stuff to happen, and we know that it's all based on a lie. The majority of Americans, adult Americans, are like children. Never have they grown up, matured, become responsible, moral adults. They let their president tell them whether they've been naughty or nice. And they're only nice when they believe the lies and go shopping. The American evil that is taking place today is so in our face, it's so obvious that it's really, truly, I think, very hard. It takes effort now to deny it. So all of those adult Americans who are walking around refusing to face the truth, refusing to engage in conversation about what's taking place, they're still like little children, just living their delusional pretense that they're great and exceptional and good. At this point, I think they should all be praying that God has mercy on their souls.